to what we needed to do to take care of our family.
My family, my children, my grandchildren are secure financially.
We need to make sure that what we've accumulated will go on to the children. That's so important today.
She's definitely somebody we feel comfortable recommending to other people.
And we have already.
Friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Linus J. Ebe, and I am an associate attorney here at the Collins Law Group. We specialize in estate planning, and that means that we are especially dedicated to protecting our clients and their loved ones from court proceedings like conservatorship and probate. It is absolutely crucial to have an estate plan in place now. Documents such as your power of attorneys, living trusts, and pour-over wills become effective immediately and help to protect your loved ones, your spouse, and your children from conservatorship and probate. Now, keep in mind that you want to make important estate planning decisions about your power of attorney agents, your personal representatives, and your successor trustees while you are still in great health and have the capacity to do so. Often we get contacted by loved ones whose parents is already in a memory care facility and has been living with dementia for 15 years. Or we get contacted by a loved one whose parent is terminally ill and trying to get a last-minute deathbed plan in effect. Almost always, we cannot assist in these types of situations because the potential client lacks the ability to make meaningful decisions and create a valid estate plan. Your estate plan becomes effective immediately once you've signed your documents. That means that your living trust, your pour-over will, and your power of attorney documents begin to protect you and your loved ones from conservatorship and probate the very day you sign your documents in the presence of a notary. The best way to protect your inheritance is to get educated about estate planning and take action. If you have parents or are caring for a loved one who wants to leave you with an inheritance, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Does my mom or dad or my loved one have power of attorney documents in place in case they become too ill or are unable to make their own decisions? Does my mom or dad or my loved one own real estate? And if the answer is yes, is there a living trust in place? If you answered no to any of these questions, I invite you to attend one of our free weekly webinars. Take the educational opportunity to learn about a comprehensive estate plan and make your appointment for a free estate planning consultation. Medi-Cal is California's version of the Medicaid healthcare program. This program strives to pay for medical services for individuals with limited income and limited resources. In reality, if you comply with Medi-Cal's rules and restrictions, you can qualify for Medi-Cal benefits. Now, very few people know that Medi-Cal has a recovery program which seeks repayment from a deceased person's estate. More specifically, Medi-Cal recovery is about repayment for benefits received by a person who received medical services on or after their 55th birthday and who owned assets at the time of death. New Medi-Cal rules now allow Medi-Cal recipients to form living trusts and transfer their homes into their living trusts in order to protect these assets from Medi-Cal recovery. So do not make the state of California richer. If you own your own home, you must transfer your home into your living trust in order to protect your home from Medi-Cal recovery and to ensure that your children inherit what you worked so hard for. I am first generation Filipino American, and I know for a fact that having been brought up in the Filipino culture makes me especially qualified to be an estate planning attorney. And this is because in the Filipino culture, we value our loved ones, our family, our friends, and our friends who we treat like family. And it never fails that when I sit down with my clients and we discuss the things that are important to them, we don't talk about our big houses, these retirement accounts that we've worked so hard for. We talk about protecting our loved ones. We talk about the most meaningful relationships in our lives. And I think that's what really sets us apart here at the Collins Law Group, is that we are especially dedicated to protecting our clients and the things that they care about most in life. Welcome everyone to the Collins Law Group Estate Planning webinar. For those of you just joining us, my name is Linus J. Ebe. I am your presenter and speaker today. I also have the pleasure of being the associate attorney here at the Collins Law Group. Now, you are going to learn a lot about the mechanics of a comprehensive estate plan today. Things like power of attorneys, pour over wills, funding. You're going to learn about all of that. But first things first, we're going to go over a few housekeeping rules. So after this presentation, we will have an official Q&A portion of this talk. And I just know that as you are watching this webinar, a whole lot of you are going to have a lot of questions, concerns, issues pop up into your head, and maybe you want to share that with me and pose questions, and that's great. What you're going to do is you're going to check the bottom of your screen for the Q&A icon, and you're going to use that to send me your questions, send me your concerns, send me your issues. And most of the time I'm just going to go ahead and type right away and send you the answers, but for those of you who've sent some really great questions, I may just save the best for last and answer those questions at the end. I'm also happy to announce that for those of you who watch this presentation from beginning to end, you will be eligible for a free estate planning consultation. And that will take place with either myself or with Attorney Collins. And that can take place via Zoom, just like we're doing right now. We can do a telephone consultation. But for those of you who are especially motivated to get started on that estate plan, I urge you to sign up for that consultation in person. And a little added perk for those of you who sign up for a free meeting, we are going to go ahead and send you a book that our very own Attorney Collins authored. She wrote The Ultimate Caregiver's Guide. So when you sign up for that consultation via Calendly, we're going to go ahead and send you a packet that includes that lovely little book. And also, we are going to show you a webinar that has been pre-recorded. And we really took this opportunity to give you an educational experience, but also an entertaining experience. So, I know you're going to know so much more about estate planning and its many moving parts at the end of this webinar than you did when you checked in at 10 a.m. But I also guarantee that you're going to be just a little bit entertained. All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this presentation started, and I will see you at the end. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Collins Law Group Wills and Living Trust webinar. My name is Attorney Linus Ebe, and I will be your speaker today. Now, first of all, I would like to say congratulations! Because your estate absolutely matters. And I want to thank you for joining us at this webinar and taking the opportunity to get educated about the importance of estate planning. Because folks, you matter. Your loved ones matter, and all of the things that you've worked so hard for in life matters. And now today we're going to be talking about some heavy topics, things that people don't even like to think about. We're going to be talking about death, incapacity, what happens to our loved ones when we fail to plan. And on the flip side, we're going to be talking about the advantages that we have when we engage in a comprehensive estate plan. And first, a little bit about our founder and managing attorney, Caprice L. Collins. Attorney Collins is a graduate of the Harvard Law School. She's been an attorney for over 40 years. She's a member of the Academy for Estate Planning Attorneys, and our focus here at the Collins Law Group is on estate planning, business planning, asset protection, and trust administration. In addition to being an estate planning attorney, Attorney Collins is also an insurance agent for life, disability, and long-term care. She's a real estate broker, and she's also a certified financial advisor. And so when you're sitting with Attorney Collins, you're actually sitting with 4 professionals rolled into one. Now, outside of the office, Attorney Collins is a lot like many of you viewers out there. She wears many hats. She's a proud mother of 2. She's been happily married for over 34 years, and up until 2008, she had been a caregiver for her own mother for about 10 years. So this experience provided her with firsthand knowledge and insight about caregiving. And I'm proud to announce that Attorney Collins is now a distinguished author of The Ultimate Caregiver Guide: How to Provide the Best Possible Care for Loved Ones and Yourself in Los Angeles. So please be on the lookout for future events in celebration of this wonderful book. A little bit about myself. I did my undergraduate education at UCLA. I went to law school down in San Diego at the Thomas Jefferson School of Law. And when I first started out as an attorney, I did business formations. And so if you are interested in LLCs, corporations, or professional service corporations, we can talk about that at our consultation. Now, as an estate planning attorney, I find that I feel very fulfilled and rewarded on so many levels, because when I sit down with my clients and I meet with them, I find that I'm actually representing them in a very meaningful way. I get to meet my clients' family members and loved ones. My clients check in quite frequently to let me know about any changes in their family dynamics or just any changes in their life in general. And so it really does feel like I have a lifelong relationship with my clients and that they are, in fact, members of the Collins Law Group family. Now, outside of the office, I wear many different hats. I'm a wife. I'm a mother to a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. I call them double trouble. And now, parents, I don't know why some of you actually plan to have your babies back to back, because when I had my 2 babies in 360 days apart, I found that it is now a chapter in my life that I like to refer to as when you make plans, God laughs. But no, all joking aside, in addition to being a wife and a mother, I'm also a sister and a daughter. I am a first-generation Filipino American. I was born in the Philippines, and my family came to the U.S. when I was about 2 years old. And my parents decided to settle in San Diego, California. My dad served in the U.S. Navy for about 25 years, and my husband is also a U.S. Navy veteran. And so if I have any viewers out there who are military veterans, or if you are still on active duty, I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you for your service, because I know very well what that sacrifice entails. Now, my mother is a small business owner, and she's been a practicing dentist my whole entire life. And together, my mom and dad instilled in me a very deep appreciation for hard work, persistence, and sacrifice. And so when my clients sit with me and they tell me that they're homeowners, or they talk to me about their retirement plans, I can certainly appreciate what it took for them to get there. The Collins Law Group has represented thousands of families in the Los Angeles area. This picture here epitomizes our goals at our law firm. Our client is pictured with her mother, her daughter, and her little baby granddaughter. And it is always our goal to protect our clients' assets and family wealth, but also to ensure that that family wealth is preserved for generations to come. We have 3 core values, and our first core value is integrity. That means that we do what we say we are going to do. We stand behind our word. And when I tell my clients that we will meet with you and your loved ones in times of incapacity, illness, or death, we do just that. Our second core value is education, and we are very passionate about educating the community about the importance of estate planning. And what are you all doing right now? You have joined us for this opportunity to learn about estate planning. And our third core value is the transformational experience. And that means that when a client sits with Attorney Collins and I, we learn about their concerns and their worries and the special circumstances that make up their lives. And we turn all of that into a comprehensive estate plan that gives our clients and their loved ones peace of mind. Now, I want to point out that we have a fabulous website at collinslawgroup.com. It's got a lot of video content and all sorts of educational articles for your review. We also have a full webinar schedule on that website. I want to invite you as well to check out our profile on avvo.com, and for several years in a row now, we've won the Top Estate Planning Attorney Award, and a lot of our clients have rated us at a 10.0. And if you like what you see today, I encourage you to please be kind and review us online. We've got online profiles on Google, Facebook, and again, Avvo. Today's webinar, we will be talking about wills, trusts, how to choose an estate planning attorney, the critical parts of estate planning, incapacity, and then at the very end of our talk, we will have a question and answer portion. Now, how many of you out there know what it takes to lose weight?
Gummy bears!
No, not gummy bears. If you are out there and you're saying to yourself that it takes diet and exercise to lose weight, you are 1000% correct. But does knowing that you have to eat right and move around at least 30 minutes a day, does knowing that actually help you to lose weight? Of course not, because knowledge is not enough. And it is always our goal with these webinars to make sure that people know that you must get into action. You must actually do something in order to get your estate plan started. Today, we are living in unprecedented times. The coronavirus has drastically changed our way of life and has imposed a new normal on us. We are now finding that a lot of us have to work from home. Schools across the nation have closed, and the global economy continues to suffer during this pandemic. What's worse is that the minority communities are at greater risk for contracting the coronavirus and dying from the coronavirus, because a lot of members in these communities have underlying health issues that make them vulnerable victims to COVID-19. We are living in perilous times in America today. Over 100 million lawsuits are filed annually. Over 1 million bankruptcies were filed in 2019 alone, and sadly, we no longer believe in the institution of marriage. America has the highest divorce rate in the world. We are also seeing a huge demographic shift in our adult population. 79 million people in America make up the population of baby boomers, and that 79 million alone makes up 25% of our population. Baby boomers are retiring at a rate of 10,000 individuals per day. And what this means is it is driving up the costs for long-term care expenses and nursing home expenses. Today, nursing home expenses average about $10,000 a month, and that's for a B-grade nursing home. That's if you have to have a roommate and share your space with somebody else. So you can imagine how much more it would cost if privacy mattered to you. Now, when our clients visit us, we find that they have 5 major concerns. Their first concern is that they want to pass on their wealth with no court involvement. They want to avoid unnecessary taxes. They want to avoid poverty from long-term care or medical expenses. They want to protect their family from creditors and predators, and they want to pass their values on to future generations. The number one reason people don't plan is procrastination. Now, Webster's Dictionary defines procrastination as putting off until tomorrow what we know needs to be done today. And the number 2 reason that people don't plan is they just don't know what they don't know. And folks, after you are done viewing this webinar today, you will have a wealth of knowledge as it pertains to estate planning and the importance of having an estate plan in place. What is an estate? Well, an estate is basically everything that you own. It's your family homes, it's your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your life insurance policies, it's your cars, your clothing, your jewelry. All of the things that you own make up your estate. And the great state of California wants you dead and intestate. And what does intestate mean? It means dying without an estate plan or dying with a will, which is an inadequate estate plan. Now, when you die, California doesn't impose death taxes on you. Instead, when you die intestate, California will send your loved ones to probate court. And we're going to talk later on about why probate court is bad news for your loved ones. So yes, you need an estate plan because you want your hard-earned assets to go to whom you choose. These are your loved ones, your relatives, your friends. In probate court, the people that get to inherit from you are the people that have the nerve to survive you, your next of kin. And yes, you want your hard-earned assets to go when you want. Now, this is taking into consideration that you may leave behind beneficiaries who are young, aged 18 and under, beneficiaries who are irresponsible, and beneficiaries who are receiving special public funding for some sort of a disability or a special need that they may have. And of course, you want your estate plan to be handled by the person that you trust, a person that you find to be financially savvy and responsible. In probate court, the person who is appointed to be your executor may very well be the person that was just willing to put up the filing fees and hire an attorney to file the papers in court. And of course, you need an estate plan because you want to avoid conservatorship, probate court, Medi-Cal recovery, which we will talk about later in this talk. And it is always our goal to minimize the family drama and create an ease of transfer upon your death. Now, to better understand the importance of having a comprehensive estate plan in place, we're going to look at a sample couple, Bill and Mary Jones. Now, Bill and Mary have been married for over 4 decades, and together they've worked hard through the years to build an estate valued at about $900,000. And some of you out there may be asking, well, what if I'm single? What if I'm widowed or divorced, or I've been married more than once? And the truth is that having a comprehensive estate plan is that much more crucial for you because there are certain protections that are afforded to married couples that are not given to single individuals. Now back to Bill and Mary, they've got 2 beautiful children, Susan and John. And Bill and Mary do not have an estate plan in place, so they have several options open to them. They can spend all of their money as if they're going to die tomorrow. They can die intestate, which means dying with no estate plan at all. They can depend on joint tenancy, which is how they own their family home. And we're going to talk about why that's a bad idea later on in this webinar. They can get wills drafted. They can get a bare bones living trust. And a bare bones living trust is where you visit the neighborhood paralegal and they hand you a 5 to 10 page document that's quite frankly inadequate to cover your estate planning needs. And then, of course, Bill and Mary always have the option of visiting us at the Collins Law Group to get their revocable living trust done with legacy planning. And so at the beginning of the new year, Bill and Mary, like a whole lot of us, start a New Year's resolutions list. At the top of that list is they want to exercise more. Next, they want to plan more vacations and actually take them. They want to plan for retirement because that's right around the corner. And they want to volunteer more and become better civic citizens in their community. And last on that list is they want to create a will. And what do we call that when we put off until tomorrow that which should be done today? Procrastination. So shame on Bill and Mary because they start the new year out procrastinating. Well, they get a head start on their resolutions list and they start an exercise routine. And so every Saturday, Bill and Mary log in 90 minutes at the local park where they walk briskly. Well, on this particular Saturday, Mary decides that she's going to stay at home because she's got a lot of things left over from the week that she still had not finished. And so they make a deal where Bill's going to go ahead and log in 90 minutes at the park. He's going to come back home and meet up with Mary, and they're going to go out and hit up Costco before all the long lines start. And then once they're done with Costco, they're going to go out for lunch and watch a movie. So Bill's at the park for 90 minutes and Mary's finishing up her to-dos, and 90 minutes have passed and Mary's waiting around ready to go and still no sign of Bill. And she gets started on another to-do and it's 60 minutes now later and there's still no sign of Bill. And so as she is about to dial his mobile number, she hears the house phone ringing, and it is the local ER letting Mary know that her husband has suffered a heart attack. Now, the American Heart Association has told us that your first heart attack will more often than not kill you. Well, in this situation, luckily for the family, Bill survives his first heart attack and the doctors are able to stabilize him. By the time that Mary gets there, the doctors say, all right, well, Bill's made it through. We're going to keep him for further observation. So we'll keep him until Friday, Mary, and you come back on Friday and pick him up. So Mary goes home that evening and she finds that she can't go to sleep. She can't quiet her mind, and even though the doctors have let her know that Bill's been stabilized and he's going to make it, she's still got the weight of the world on her shoulder. Well, early into the next day, she finds that she can finally quiet her mind and get some rest. And when she wakes up at noon that day, she realizes why it was so hard for her to get some sleep. And it was because she was completely unprepared to lose her husband. Bill was the one that paid all of the bills at the house. He was the one that dealt with the banks. And Mary didn't even know where the deed to the house was. So she resolves to call the only attorney that she knows because she's decided it's time to get some wills drafted. So she calls real estate attorney Bob. Well, real estate attorney Bob helped Bill and Mary years and years and years before with a landlord-tenant issue. She calls up Bob and says, Bob, Bill had just suffered a heart attack. He made it, but we now need to think about getting wills drafted. Can you help us out with some wills, Bob? And Bob says, you know what, Mary? What you actually need is an estate plan. And Mary just jumps and says, what are you talking about? I don't need an estate plan. I just need a will. I need a will for myself. I need a will for Bill. Can you please help me out? So they go back and forth for a few minutes, and real estate attorney Bob says, okay, when you pick Bill up from the hospital on Friday, drop by the office and I will have some wills ready for you. And so that Friday, Bill and Mary make wills, and we like to call them I love you wills, because Mary's will basically says, Bill, I love you, so when I die, you get everything. And Bill's will says, Mary, I love you, so when I die, you get everything. And that makes up their entire estate plan. Well, 6 months after getting their I love you wills done, unfortunately, Bill suffers a stroke and becomes disabled. This forces Mary into early retirement, and she must now become Bill's full-time caregiver. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. About 3 years after Mary's retired, she decides that it's time to check into the doctor because things are not feeling quite right with her. She's feeling a lot more lethargic these days. She's gained 20 pounds in the 3 years that she's retired to become Bill's full-time caregiver. And so when she goes to her physical, she sees right away that the doctor does not like what he sees. He doesn't like Mary's blood work. He doesn't like the fact that Mary's gained weight. And he's also detected a slight heart murmur. So he's shaking his head and he's telling Mary that, Mary, if you continue down this path, in a few years' time, there's going to be no one left to take care of Bill. So you've got to change things up. Well, Mary heeds this red flag and she goes home and tells Bill what happened at the doctor's office, and they make plans right away to sell their home and move into an Inland Empire senior assisted living facility. Now, before they sell their home, of course, they ask for the assistance of realtor Rita. And they tell Rita to come over to the home, just check the property out and let them know what's what. So Rita walks around the property, walks around the grounds, she likes what she sees. She's walking in the house and likes the house and the bones of the house. And she tells Mary, you have a great sized lot. The location is great. You live by great shopping and great schools. And I have no doubt that your home will sell in a month or two. But now Realtor Rita's concerned because she says, Mary, I'm a little worried about Bill because every time I look his way, he's a little slumped over to the right and he's staring off into the distance. And Rita says, Mary, will Bill be able to handle signing all of the papers, the legal documents that are involved in a real estate transaction. Mary says, "What are you talking about? I'm his wife. I'll sign these documents on behalf of him." Rita hears this and she jumps back like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about? You can't sign documents on behalf of your husband because what you're suggesting is fraud and forgery. And so what is Mary referencing here? Well, Mary's relying on the concept of joint tenancy. And joint tenancy is often the manner in which husbands and wives own their homes. And it basically works in this way. So when you have a spouse that dies, the surviving spouse ends up inheriting 100% of the property. So you see right away that joint tenancy only works when a spouse dies. It does not work during times of incapacity, and it does not give a spouse authority to execute legal documents on behalf of the other spouse. And so in Bill and Mary's case, Mary must engage in a conservatorship in order to sign documents on behalf of her husband. And a conservatorship is basically adult guardianship. It's a court proceeding designed to protect those who are disabled or just unable to handle their affairs. And it appoints a person to handle your assets. And it may not necessarily be the person that you trust or find responsible. Now, the realities of a conservatorship is that it's costly. You're looking at least $25,000 in attorney's fees. It's a humiliating process. It's a public process. The court is completely in control, and it's time consuming. Conservatorships typically last about 6 months long or longer, just depending on the complexity of the matter. Well, here in Bill and Mary's case, Mary waits out the 6 months and she obtains conservatorship over her husband, Bill. And then she's able to sign the legal documents in order to sell the home. And the couple are now able to move into that senior assisted living facility in the Inland Empire. And once they moved into that facility, Mary obtains much more assistance with Bill's caregiving needs. She joins her local social club, joins the Zumba class that she does once a week. She goes on that once a month trip to the casino or the beach, and her quality of life has improved. And Bill's quality of life has improved as well because he's got more assistance with his caregiving needs. And now the family is spending about $1,600 a month to live in the senior assisted living facility. About 2 years after moving into the Inland Empire, Bill develops dementia. And what this means is that he now needs a heightened level of care. So Mary has to find an adult daycare center. And this is costing the family about $4,000 a month. Mary finds that she must now use the family savings in order to take care of Bill's long-term care obligations. And so she's spending down using the family savings. About 4 years after entering that adult daycare center, Bill has to enter a nursing home. So now he requires round-the-clock care. And this costs the family about $7,500 a month. Now, once Bill enters that nursing home, Medicare covers only 20 days of full care and 80 days of partial care. And after the 20 days of full care is exhausted and the 80 days of partial care is exhausted, then the family must spend their own money to fund Bill's nursing home expenses. Now, why does Medicare only cover 20 full days? Well, Medicare is under this assumption that if you and I were ever in a position where we required full-time rehab or a nursing home, it would only take us about 3 weeks to be in that nursing home or in that rehab center, and then we'd be back to full functioning, 100% functioning adults. And that's not the case. That doesn't factor in things like a decline in health, late stages of Alzheimer's, and matters like that. And unfortunately, about 2 years after entering that nursing home, Bill transitions and dies. And the family must now go through probate because Bill left behind assets that were only in his name. Now, why is probate required? Well, probate is required because a will was the only plan that was created, and it was an inadequate plan. And I want everyone to understand that everyone already has an estate plan. You already have an estate plan, and that estate plan was either planned by you, if you already have a revocable living trust in place, or it's been planned by the state if you have no plan at all. And the state's plan is really a one-way ticket for your loved ones to go to probate. And please recall that California does want you to go to probate court if you die intestate. And that's because in probate court, California is able to shave off a huge percentage of your family wealth through court fees, filing fees, attorney's fees, all of that. Now, why is probate required? Well, a deceased person will leave something in his or her own name, and that could be real estate, bank accounts, stocks and bonds, any financial accounts. And then, of course, a deceased person can also leave behind lawsuits and judgments, and that needs to be dealt with. And then at the very end, what's left over of your estate in probate court will need to be distributed to your next of kin, the people that survived you. So what happens in probate? Well, the court will appoint an executor, and this is the person who's going to be in charge of your assets and managing your estate. In probate, it's often used as a forum to resolve disputes. Any creditors that need to be recompensed, any family drama that is occurring, that needs to be taken care of. And then, of course, if you leave behind real estate, that will have to be appraised. And so your judgments are paid off, your creditors are paid off, any family drama that you may have needs to be ironed over. And then at the very end of that probate matter, whatever is left behind from your estate will be distributed to your next of kin. And this might be potential undesirables. Now, probate court is costly. We have to think about the costs of bonds, appraiser's fees, estate insurance, property maintenance, sales commissions, the attorneys and the accountants have to be paid, the court filing fees have to be paid, and then the executor's fees. A lot of people fail to realize that the information in probate court is public. LA County Superior Court has made it very convenient for our neighbors to find out everything about our estate with just one click of a button. There are many industries that make so much profit off of this information, this public information that's found in probate. We've got a lot of flippers that rent ballrooms at the Marriotts here in LA, and what they'll do is they will teach their seminar attendees how to find real estate and purchase this real estate for 30 to 50% off of fair market value. And then, of course, this same flipper has the nerve to sell his book at these seminars called Creating Wealth Through Probate. And then, of course, a lot of us know about HGTV or are hip to HGTV, and it's really entertaining, right, to watch these flippers purchase a home for $80,000, $100,000, and next thing you know, they're installing Carrara marble, they've got gold fixtures, and they're selling these homes at such a great profit. Well, a lot of the times these shows aren't telling you that these flippers are purchasing these properties as probate properties. And so we see right away that there's such a huge loss in estate value when our property goes through probate court. We have to think about the court's fees. We have to think about the attorneys and the accountants that must be paid. We have to think about back taxes that you may be liable for. We have to think about paying for any long-term care expenses that spent during your lifetime. We have to think about the flippers because they're there making a huge profit off of probate properties. And we also have to think about Medi-Cal recovery. Now, at Bill's death, Mary has a reduced estate value of $700,000. And it doesn't take too long for Tan Dan, the ladies' man, to enter into the scene. have to give Mary a break. She was a dutiful wife and a dutiful caregiver for a little over 10 years. She deserves a good time, and Tan Dan looks like a good time. And it doesn't take too long for them to get all close and hugged up, and they're taking trips to Vegas on the weekends, and the kids are looking a little curiously at this guy, and they don't like this character. They're just like, who is he? Well, one weekend in Vegas, Tan Dan and Mary get married, and it isn't too long before Tan Dan is leasing a new Jaguar off of Mary's credit, and that they purchased an apartment in Vegas. Unfortunately, 2 years after Tan Dan and Mary get married, Mary is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And now the children want to know who is going to get conservatorship over their mother. And who do you think that will be? Well, for those of you out there who are saying that it is going to be Tan Dan, you're absolutely right. A judge is more likely to appoint a person's spouse to be his or her conservator. And you can see right away that the kids are just negatively affected by this, and they're very disappointed, because how fair is this, that this character that's been on the scene for 2 years gets to take control over their mother's affairs? Unfortunately, about 4 years after Mary's conservatorship, she passes away. And the family has to go through another probate. Why is that? Well, no update of the documents were ever made. Mary and Tan Dan never engaged in a revocable living trust or an estate plan. They never got any wills done, which would have been an inadequate estate plan. And so something that I want you all to know out there is that if you do already have a revocable living trust in place, your documents must be updated, because the longer that we live, things will change. We may go through a death of a spouse. We may go through a marriage of a new spouse. There may have been a change in our assets. And of course, there may have been a change in our intentions. Maybe when you created that revocable living trust 15 years ago, you didn't have any grandchildren, but now you've got 3 of them and you want to make college funds for them. And so when Mary passes away, how do you think her of her estate? If you are shaking your head no, you are absolutely right. Tan Dan comes up. Tan Dan, the new spouse, receives 50% of Mary's estate, leaving her 2 children with 25% each. And how fair is that? Not fair at all. When there must be a better alternative, and there actually is. And so now we're going to be talking about what is a living trust. And to better understand the importance of a living trust, we're actually going to give Bill and Mary a second chance. We're going to give them a redo. And so instead of procrastinating at the beginning of the year, what they actually do is they attend a Collins Law Group seminar. They get educated about the importance of estate planning, and more importantly, they become empowered to actually do something about it. And they sit with Attorney Collins and I, and they get their revocable living trusts, power of attorney documents, pour-over will, property agreements. They got all of those important documents prepared for them, and they start the new year off with a comprehensive estate plan. This is how we do it. And now I want you to think of your trust as a treasure chest. We've already discussed what makes up your estate, and basically all of the things that you own are going to be put into that treasure chest. Now, in reality, a living trust is a paper document that holds title to all of the assets that you own. A living trust has 3 positions. They are the trustors, trustees, and the beneficiaries. Now, the trustors are the people who own the assets and put them into a living trust. The trustees are people who do what you and I already do on a daily basis. They keep track of their money, they pay the bills, they buy things, they sell things, they trade, they mortgage, they borrow. All of those things are the things that trustees typically do. And then we have the beneficiaries. These are the people who spend the money and use the assets in a living trust. And when Bill and Mary have created their comprehensive estate plan, they occupy all three positions. Together, they are the co-trustors, the co-trustees, and the co-beneficiaries. And once they've created their comprehensive estate plan, it's business as usual. Bill and Mary know that they are in control of everything. They know that their trust can be amended or revoked. They can still buy, sell, and refinance their assets. There are no new income tax forms to be filled out, and there's no new property tax to be worried about. The reason being is that when you transfer your home into your trust, you are not changing who owns your home. You still own your home. You're just changing how you own your home, and you're owning your home in the form of your trust. So, why create a living trust? Well, I want you to think of it as a standby device. It is designed to protect you and your loved ones in case of disability or death. You don't want any court involvement because we can see right away how the expenses can just pile up and eat away at our family wealth. And of course, we always want to protect our spouse and our kids, our loved ones, from life's what-ifs. And this is a little outline of how the Jones Living Trust would work during different time periods in the couple's life. At the very beginning, we've got Bill and Mary, who are still alive, and they are co-trustors together, co-trustees and co-beneficiaries. And then when Bill passes away, we've got Mary, who is the surviving spouse, and she is going to be the trustee and the beneficiary for her lifetime. And when Mary passes away, Mary and Bill have chosen their two children to be their successor trustees to manage the affairs of their estate upon their passing. And for those of you who are single, your timeline would start where Mary's pictured, and so while you are alive, you are going to be the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary of your trust. And when you pass, the individuals that you've chosen to be your successor trustees will step up into their responsibility and manage the affairs of your estate. When Bill has a stroke, Mary calls us at the Collins Law Group to let us know about Bill's health. And she also meets with us to ask us if she must engage in a conservatorship. And we get to let her know. The good news is that you do not have to engage in a $25,000 conservatorship because your living trust has special instructions to handle disability. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And moreover, the Collins Law Group prepared the necessary documents in order for Mary or Bill to handle either spouse's matters as it pertains to the bank, legal documents, or real property. And so Mary does not have to engage in a conservatorship because she's got the proper documentation to handle Bill's incapacity. And now, of course, when Bill transitions and dies, the family's main concern is, will Bill's estate go to probate? And we get to let her know, guess what? There is no need for probate court. Hallelujah. 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 Why is that? Well, when Bill and Mary met with us to do their comprehensive estate plan, we transferred all of their assets into their trust. And remember, the main purpose of probate is to change the title of your assets. Now, trusts do not die, and that's a misconception that a lot of my clients have with me, is they think that, well, when I die, is my trust going to die with me? Well, trusts have provisions for control and distribution after your death. Now, when Mary gets Alzheimer's, her daughter Susan calls us at the Collins Law Group because she needs advice regarding real estate, banking, and Mary's caregiving needs. And her main concern is mom's qualification and eligibility for Medi-Cal. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between Medicare and Medi-Cal. Medicare is medical health care for individuals after the age of 65. You and I have already prepaid into that with taxes from our wages. And Medi-Cal is for needy individuals without any health insurance. And folks, the dirty little secret is that 70% of all nursing home residents in California receive Medi-Cal, even middle-class families. And how are they able to do that? With revocable living trusts. So our revocable living trust has Medi-Cal triggers. And with these triggers, our clients are able to use the Medi-Cal rules to quickly qualify for Medi-Cal. Now, in this case, we meet with Susan, and Susan lets us know that, she's got, her mother, Mary, has got $200,000 in the bank. Well, one of the Medi-Cal rules is that you cannot have more than $2,000 in a bank account. And so now Susan must reposition the assets, that $198,000, in order for her mother, Mary, to quickly qualify for Medi-Cal. And we let Susan know that she has several options. There are several things that she can do with that $198,000. She can pay off her mother's mortgage. And are we any less wealthy when our mortgage is completely paid off? No. She can pay off any of her mother's credit card debts. And are we any less wealthy when our credit score goes up? Absolutely not. In a lot of places in America, a healthy credit score is wealth. And then, of course, Susan has let us know that Mary's got a downstairs office that they can renovate and turn into a functioning and livable bedroom. And they can renovate the adjoining bathroom so that Mary can stay at home and live at home as long as she is not a danger to herself. And so when Mary has the option of engaging in a home improvement, is she going to be any less wealthy when she renovates her home? Of course not. She's just going to add property value to her home. So we see right away that Susan's got a lot of options as far as Mary's money is concerned. We also let Susan know that the family can engage in family service contracts. Susan and John take a very active role in their mother's lives where they get her to her medical appointments on time. They make sure she gets to her therapist and her rehab appointments on time. They make sure that she gets her medications when she needs it. And so Mary can pay her children through family service contracts. We see right away that the family has big savings when using Medi-Cal triggers. Without any planning whatsoever, Mary would have had to go to a nursing home for 3 years, and that would have cost the family about $252,000. Without any planning, the family would have had to engage in a conservatorship, and we know that attorney's fees alone in a conservatorship cost about $25,000. And those costs add up to about $277,000. Now, with planning and using Medi-Cal triggers, Mary would have had to go to assisted living for a month, which would cost the family about $7,000, while her daughter Susan renovated the downstairs office and turned it into a livable bedroom. And then, of course, the family would not have needed to go through a conservatorship because with a comprehensive estate plan, you've got the proper power of attorney documents in order to handle your loved one's affairs. And so with planning, the family would have only spent about $7,000. And we see right away, without planning versus with planning is a savings of about $270,000. And now one of Susan's other concerns is, will her mother Mary's estate be subject to Medi-Cal recovery? Well, Medi-Cal recovery in California is big business. California has recovered over $1 billion from Medi-Cal recipients' estates, and that means real estate, bank accounts, and retirement accounts. And I want to point out this article where this woman, Linda Condor, is pictured, and she was featured in the LA Times. And right here, she's seated with her husband. And the story focuses on Linda Condor because in 2015, Medi-Cal came after her for $120,000 that had been in her mother's account when her mother died in 2010. Now, in the 5 years that have lapsed since her mother died, do you think that that $120,000 is still there? Of course not. Linda spent that money paying any long-term care expenses that had to be recompensed, had to pay any back taxes, any other obligations that her mother had left behind. And Medi-Cal was seeking that $120,000 because it had spent that much on providing her deceased mother with Medi-Cal services from the years of 1999 to 2003. Well, a little bit after this article was featured in the Los Angeles Times, the rules for Medi-Cal recovery changed. New laws for Medi-Cal recovery were enacted in January of 2017, where it basically stated that you must have a living trust in order to avoid Medi-Cal recovery. And so the lesson in this is that if you have a living trust, you don't have to worry about Medi-Cal recovery. But if you die with a will, or you die with no estate plan at all and your loved ones go to probate court, then you can trust that the state is going to recover any sums paid for your Medi-Cal health care. So again, the lesson here, you must have a trust to avoid Medi-Cal recovery. One important thing to note is that our trusts have divorce protection provisions. I know a lot of you out there that have son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws that maybe you're not quite so fond of. Well, I want you to rest assured that when you have your revocable living trust drafted by us, your trust will have divorce protections for your beneficiaries so that in case your son or daughter were to get divorced, the inheritance that you leave behind or the gift that you leave behind will go strictly to your child. And then, of course, some of you out there may have irresponsible beneficiaries. Here, we've got John, who is a walking liability factory. Well, our trusts have provisions that protect your beneficiaries from creditor and debt protection. So yes, there are so many reasons to have an estate plan. You want your hard-earned assets to go to the people that you choose, your chosen loved ones and your friends. You want your assets to be distributed when you want. And this is keeping in mind that some of you may have beneficiaries that are young, beneficiaries that are irresponsible, or beneficiaries that are receiving some type of funding for a special need or disability. And of course, you want your assets to be handled by the person that you trust, a person that you find responsible. And you do want an estate plan because you want to avoid probate court, conservatorship, Medi-Cal recovery, and you want to avoid the family drama. And I want you to consider if you can change your family's destiny. Will the inheritance you leave behind be a blessing, or will it be a curse? Will you leave your family with a one-way ticket to probate court? Now, I want to point out this landmark case that happened in the early 90s revolving around Terri Schiavo. Now, back in 1990, Terri had suffered a heart attack at the young age of 26. And when she'd suffered that heart attack, she'd been unresuscitated for too long, and her brain had been without oxygen for a matter of minutes. And so by the time the paramedics got to her and they were able to revive her, she was stuck in a permanent vegetative condition for the rest of her life. Well, prior to that heart attack, we see that Terri Schiavo was a young and vibrant woman. We see her standing proud and happy next to her new husband on her wedding day, and then next to her proud parents. And we see how 15 years later, her husband had battled her parents on a national stage all the way up to the Supreme Court in order for one of the parties to gain control, gain authority to be able to make healthcare decisions for poor Terri. Now, poor Terri's husband and her parents had to fight each other in court over the authority to make health care decisions over Terry. And unfortunately, this fight happened on a very national stage. They fought each other, the husband and the parents. For 15 years, they fought each other, all the way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court justices finally decided that it was Terry's husband that had the authority to make healthcare decisions over Terry. And you see right away how easily both parties have aged in the 15 years that all of this was happening in the court system. Now, during trial, the attorneys compared Terry's brain with that of a healthy brain, and we can see easily that a healthy brain is fibrous, it's got a lot of gray matter, and Terry's brain had pretty much all but liquefied, and so she was basically living with a liquid brain for 15 years. And now Terry is a very important case for all of us to really pay attention to, and she teaches us this lesson that it really doesn't matter how much is in your bank account at this point. It doesn't matter how much money you hope to have in your bank account 5 years from now. It doesn't matter if you own one piece of real estate right now, but you hope to own 5 in the next 10 years. The reality of the situation is that if you are watching this webinar right now, if you are breathing and blinking, you absolutely require a healthcare power of attorney right now. And so let's put the pieces together. You've heard me saying these phrases throughout this talk. You've heard me talking about a comprehensive estate plan. And what does that consist of? It consists of a revocable living trust, having a pour-over will, having power of attorney documents for property matters and healthcare matters, having property agreements in place, and of course, having any financial planning that must occur if it pertains to your estate. And then, of course, once you've retained the Collins Law Group as your estate planning attorneys, you are able to enjoy lifelong services with us. And that means that we offer our clients free phone calls, free meetings at disability or death, free seminars, and free email communications for your lifetime. And this is unlimited. And again, consider that we are members of the prestigious American Academy for Estate Planning Attorneys, and that really enables us to better serve our clients on a national level, so that those of you out there might own property that's out of state, or you might own airspace in New York, and if that's the case, we are absolutely able to assist you with that. As part of being our clients, you also get free periodic reviews. We like to draw our clients in every 3 to 5 years for a trust review, just to make sure that things haven't changed with you, or if they have, we should know about them. We also send our clients free quarterly newsletters. We do free financial portfolio reviews, and we offer free long-term care cost analysis. And then, of course, if you have a huge family or you have a lot of friends that you'd like us to hold a private seminar for, we're more than happy to do that. We also offer lifelong notary services, and I'm one of the resident in-house notaries, and I love seeing my clients from time to time just for the mere fact of notarizing their life insurance documents. We offer our clients with customized family planning videos, and they explain in detail how your trust documents work and what they mean. And they also lay out the primary decisions that you've made in your estate plan. We find that they're a great way for you to share your estate plan with your appropriate loved ones and your family members or your successor trustees. And this family planning video goes home with you along with a PDF copy of all of your signed documents. It all goes home with you on a flash memory drive. And so you're able to watch your video on any personal device at home, a TV or computer. And then, of course, you can always reprint your trust documents at any time. Again, we support your family in times of need. We give our clients free meetings, free unlimited meetings at illness, incapacity, or death. We are more than happy to explain your estate plan to your loved ones and your fiduciaries. We're more than happy to brief your successor trustees on the responsibilities that is expected of them. And then, of course, we'll answer any questions or concerns that are posed on us. And it's always our goal to create a frictionless transfer at your death. The Collins Law Group is available for trust administration services. We provide legal advice, financial advice. We have access to some really great realtors and accounting professionals. We invite our clients to free financial seminars. And also, we like to host social events for our clients every year because, frankly, we have the best clients in the world. So remember, knowledge is not enough. You need an action plan. So what do you need to do? Well, first off, call the Collins Law Group and schedule your free consultation. Either Attorney Collins or myself will get back to you where we will talk about your worries, your concerns, any special circumstances that we need to know about as it pertains to your estate plan, and we will also determine your readiness to move forward. Now, once you retain the Collins Law Group, one of the things that you get to go home with is your Legacy Wealth Planning portfolio. This portfolio will contain your trust, your pour-over will, your property power of attorney documents, property agreements, your HIPAA documents, and any other documents that your estate plan requires. Once again, our valued resource is that we are a member of the prestigious American Academy for Estate Planning Attorneys. This is an exclusive national organization of attorneys who focus strictly on estate planning. The American Academy focuses on hosting extensive continuing legal education classes for its attorneys, and so we are held to a much higher standard as being part of this organization than we typically are for our own state bars. And we are the only member in Central Los Angeles and the Inglewood area. Now, Money Magazine has encouraged its readers to get referrals online from the American Academy of Estate Planning Attorneys. And we all know about Susie Orman, as she's recommended the Academy to her readers. She tells her readers to check the website for the American Academy Attorneys. And she's been known to say that if you live in California and you own your own home and you do not have a living trust, you must be out of your mind. Susie Orman knows all of the things that could come at us and eat away at our wealth when we fail to plan. Now, we are living in a very advantageous location here in LA County because real estate here is valued very high. Our average for a home in LA County is about $687,000, and the national average for a home is $180,000. So here in LA County, our homes are valued at 3 times the national average. And of course, renting a 1-bedroom apartment in LA County costs the person just under $2,600. We also find that Black families make up about 12 to 13% of the population, and yet they only maintain about 2.6% of the national wealth. African Americans inherit 10 times less than their Caucasian counterparts. And why is that? Well, we're finding that a lot of minority communities are very hard-headed and still are not hip to the idea of why living trusts are important. We are also finding that the failure to plan has a trickle-down effect on families for generations, and it has contributed greatly to the homelessness situation. Everyday people are not the only ones who are guilty of failing to have an estate plan. There are a number of famous people who have died with untold fortunes who failed to have a plan whatsoever. And then, of course, we started this new year losing Kobe Bryant and his young daughter Gianna, and we found out recently that he did have an estate plan, but it was not comprehensive enough to protect his family from probate court, because his trust is actually in probate right now in the process of getting amended. Now let's look at what $500,000 of equity in your home could supply. It could provide 4 of your kids with down payments, $125,000 down payments for their first homes. It could send 5 of your grandchildren to a University of California for their undergraduate education. And we see right away how much of your family wealth is lost in probate court. In probate court, you can expect to lose at least 25% of your family wealth. So if you die and your estate is valued at about $300,000, you can expect to say bye-bye to $75,000. If your estate is worth $500,000 when you die, expect that $125,000 of your estate will not be going to your loved ones. If you have a $700,000 estate, you will be losing $175,000 in probate costs alone. And then, of course, if you're my millionaire next door, which if you own your own home, you may very well be. If you are my millionaire next door, expect to lose about $250,000 in probate court when you fail to have a comprehensive estate plan in place. Now, for our fees, for all of the documents that I talked to you about, the revocable living trust, pour-over will, power of attorney documents, property documents, all of that, plus our lifelong services, for a single individual, we charge a flat fee of $5,500. For a married couple, we charge $6,500, flat fee. So, what do you want to pay? Do you feel like paying $5,500 to $6,500 now? Or do you feel like losing $75,000 to $250,000 later? It really is your choice. And I urge you to think of your living trust not as an expense. I urge you to think of your living trust as an investment for yourself, for your loved ones, for the future. Again, we do have free consultations for those with serious concerns. So when you are ready, please call us here, call our offices at the Collins Law Group, and go ahead and make an appointment for your free consultation with Attorney Collins or myself. We do have newly renovated offices. We are located on 3330 West Manchester Boulevard in Inglewood on the corner of Manchester and 12th Avenue. What can you expect after retaining the Collins Law Group? You can expect a continuing relationship with your family and our law firm providing you and your loved ones with peace of mind. And so what's your excuse? I don't have any money, I have too much family drama, I work too much, I have too many doctor's appointments. Well, the truth of the matter is that if your estate plan is important to you, you will make it a priority and you will make time for a consultation. I want to remind you that you get what you pay for. So please avoid bargains when you're purchasing parachutes, when you're paying for brain surgery, when you're buying fire extinguishers, and certainly when you're paying for your living trust. Most importantly, I want to urge you to stay away from fast food documents. Please avoid those online services that just allow you to fill in the blanks and turn into your own attorney as it pertains to your estate plan. These online services will provide you with inadequate plans that just assumes one size fits all, when in reality, your estate plan is going to differ from my estate plan, and your estate plan is going to differ from your neighbor's estate plan. These estate plans provide very little protection for the clients that actually use them. Please don't keep us a secret. In addition to holding live webinars, we also host in-person seminars. And so if you've got friends or loved ones that you think could benefit from the knowledge that you've learned today, go ahead and send them our way. So wake up! Do it now. Please, don't let this happen to you. Don't be confused and don't procrastinate. Remember, they're all depending on you. I want you to think about what legacy will you leave your family? What will you do with the knowledge that you gained today? Will you take an active role in your lives and engage in your own comprehensive estate plan? Or will you leave your loved ones with a one-way ticket to probate court? It's up to you. And now we're going to go ahead and start the question and answer portion of our talk. And I want to thank you again for attending this webinar and for taking this opportunity to get educated about the importance of estate planning. If you have any friends, loved ones, any family that you think could benefit from this education, please send them our way. Let them know about the Collins Law Group. We will be holding many live webinars in the future, as well as live in-person seminars. So thanks again.
Movie now? All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
Is it time for our movie now?
Okay, welcome back. So what did you think? I hope that you know so much more about comprehensive estate planning now than you did when you checked in earlier this morning. I am happy to report that for those of you who are interested, and I hope all of you are interested, you are now eligible to sign up for that free consultation. You're gonna check the link, the Calendly link in the chat box. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on that Calendly link. It's going to set you up with a date and time of your choosing. And either Attorney Collins or myself will call you a few days prior to your chosen date and time to ask our preliminary questions. And they're gonna be really, really easy, basic questions. Like, if you let us know that you own real estate, we're gonna ask, how many pieces of property do you own? Where are they located? Are they located in LA County? Are they out of state? We're gonna ask you if you have children or grandchildren. Really, really easy questions. And it's really important that we have this preliminary conversation via telephone prior to your chosen date and time. So go ahead and again, for those of you who sign up, we are going to send you your free Ultimate Caregiver's Guidebook that our own Attorney Collins authored herself. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you for staying engaged during this presentation. You sent us a lot of questions and issues, and I am actually just going to hit on two topics that you sort of talked about quite a lot. Now, you all know now about the importance of having a living trust, but I still had some of you asking me if a will was sufficient enough to take care of your estate. If you are going to leave this webinar with just one golden nugget, I want to stress this. If you are a real estate owner, you own your own house, or maybe you own half a home with your sister. If you own real estate, there is only one way to pass that real estate on to your beneficiaries without probate, and that's through a living trust. So again, the golden rule in California is if you own any property, any real estate, you must have a living trust in place to avoid probate. Now, some of you have also asked me funding. What is funding? Why is it so important? Well, this is why you have to be careful about who you go to for your estate plan. I always urge people to go with a qualified estate planning attorney when it comes to their living trust, when it comes to their power of attorney documents, because you never know if you're going to somebody else, not a qualified estate planning attorney, if you're going to a paralegal or an attorney that doesn't really know anything about estate planning, maybe they do bankruptcy law, or worse. I have so many clients that go to life insurance agents who pretend to be estate planning attorneys, and it turns out that their estate isn't funded properly. So what's funding? Funding is making sure that once your trust is in place, funding is making sure that your house is transferred into your trust via a quitclaim deed. Part of funding is also letting your financial institutions know about your living trust. So if you've got bank accounts, you've got life insurance policies, these financial institutions that you have relationships with need to know about your living trust. So if you got a living trust, you got it done somewhere else. Maybe you got one of those 599 trusts and you had a life insurance agent draft your trust. Be wary, your trust may not be funded. And so you may be sitting there thinking, I'm protected, I have a living trust. But if your trust isn't funded, then you just have paper documents that hold title to nothing and you're not really protected. And if that's the case for you, I also encourage you to sign up for that free estate